Hey everybody, it's Melanie, and today I have a review for you of Yankee Candle's Pumpkin Wreath. Unfortunately, Yankee Candle has decided to discontinue this scent, but it doesn't mean that you can't find it anymore. So if you are curious about it or you are still wanting to stock up on it, there are definitely ways to still get this candle. I have a nice little stockpile, as you may have seen from some of my recent hauls, of Pumpkin Wreath at this point, so I think I'm all set, but I will be really sad once those backups run out on me in a few years. But I wanted to go ahead and get this review up so that those of you who were curious about it could, get a review of it. I haven't seen a ton of reviews for Pumpkin Wreath out there, which is why I really wanted to do this one. It is such a lovely scent, and I feel like it hasn't been talked about enough. And seriously, you guys, I'm so sad that Yankee is doing away with this one. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the formal fragrance description that they actually have online. By the way, you can still get the Pumpkin Wreath online, and there is a ton of it at my local outlet store. So you can still find it, especially if you have an outlet around you. They will probably have a ton of the large jars. I know they have a ton of the large jar tumblers, the medium-sized candles. There's still lots of them out there, so there are ways to get this. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this really lengthy fragrance description here, and then I'm going to tell you sort of my interpretation of that, or what I get from the candle. So, the wreath on the front door to signal the change of the season and welcomes family, friends, and visitors. The irresistible aroma of fall pumpkins infused with earthy oak wood, hearty cinnamon bark, and clove warmly welcomes the season too. This nature-inspired scent contains apple, resinous spice, and wood notes that play beautifully off the true-to-life pumpkin fragrance. Okay, so that's a really lengthy description, and basically, when you light this candle, it's not a food candle, even though it's a pumpkin candle. You really don't get a ton of food notes. It's certainly not a bakery candle. This is one that I have honestly loved for years. I have burned several of them, and it is so nice during the fall. Honestly, this is one of the most epitome of fall type candles that I've ever smelled, and it's right up there for me with cranberry chutney as a must-have for the fall season. When you smell this, you get a definitely there's some woodsy notes in it, which is not something that I typically go for, but it's done so well because it's the woodsy notes mixed with the apple, the pumpkin, and then those fall spices. But it's not overly spicy either. It's just a really well-balanced candle in my eyes. So the main thing that you get, and I'm sniffing the lid while I'm talking to you guys, so if I'm taking some weird breaks, it's because I'm smelling it. But basically you get apple. That's kind of what hits you first, is a really tart apple note. Then you get a fresh pumpkin. And then you really get that oak wood, or almost like a cedar wood, I would say, type note. And then those fall spices of the cinnamon and clove. And a sweet... If you ever played the violin or any kind of string instrument, and you had to put that resin stuff on your bow, it has notes of that resin in there too. I remember that smell. I played the violin when I was in middle school. I know, total nerd, but I played the violin, and that resin smell from the resin that I used to put on my bow is definitely present in this. It's so good, you guys. It is so interesting and so good. And it is just one of those scents where if you were to light this in your entryway, before a dinner party in the fall, or, just on a cold autumn night, if you were to light this candle, it is absolute perfection. It just is the epitome of fall. And I feel when people smell this, initially they're oh yeah, that's nice. But the more that you smell it, the more that you start to kind of like fall in love with it and just really, oh my gosh, you just, I mean, you don't want to eat it because it's totally not a foodie scent. Despite having the pumpkin and the apple, it's not like a delicious foodie scent, but it's just really unique and really interesting, and really truly the combinations of all of those scents just work together. I love the color of the wax. I love the label. There's nothing about this candle that I don't like. I even like the fact that it's not a crazy strong thrower, because I feel like if this had a throw of like 8, 9, or 10, it would almost be too much. So this candle usually gives me a throw of about between a 7 and an 8. So you can definitely smell it. It's not one of those candles that you're not going to be able to smell. It definitely has a decent strength to it. And the throw is also right around a 7 and an 8. You know, like it's going to go decently far in your house. But if you have like an upstairs and a downstairs setup, you're not going to necessarily smell it upstairs in your house. But as you come downstairs and you enter the room where the candle is, like it definitely, like, you will immediately like start to smell the candle, if that makes sense. I normally will put pumpkin wreath in my dining room, and I have a kitchen, dining room, living room, like L-shaped kind of setup. And when I put it in the middle in the dining room, it hits both the kitchen as well as the living room perfectly. Like one candle is usually enough, and it just gives me that like beautiful like waft of like fall amazingness. It's crisp, it's fresh, it's very autumnal. It's not too much on the spices. Cinnamon can get a little bit too much for me. That can definitely cause headaches with certain like types of fall candles if there's too much of that cinnamon in there. This is just the perfect amount, and you definitely also get that clove in there as well. But again, it's not crazy strong. So overall, I really do think that if you ever find one of these at the outlet, or if your store still happens to have them in stock, it is absolutely worth checking out, you guys. It's a beautiful scent, and like I said, I haven't heard a ton of people talk about it in videos, so I just thought it was worth a mention. I love it. I wish that they wouldn't have done away with it. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Please leave me any questions down below. I am uploading this while I'm off on vacation, so it may take me a while to get back to you. So thank you for your patience with that. And thank you guys so much for watching my videos and supporting my channel. Please subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.